We have a massive update on the Auston Matthews injury as a report has come out saying he has traveled overseas for consultation. This is going to play major impacts on the Toronto Maple Leafs for the rest of this season. And is this injury worse than it looks? We're going to break it all down for you guys coming up on this episode of Hat Trick HQ. But before we get into it, we got to say that 91% of you guys watching these videos aren't subscribed to the channel, so if you want to stay up to date on the latest NHL news, updates, injuries, make sure down below and hit that subscribe button. But with that said, before we talk about Auston Matthews, another player on the Leafs was announced injured today. If we just have a look here, David Kampf has been placed on the IR with a lower body injury, which, yes, it sucks, but on the greener side, we get to see Fraser Minten recalled from the AHL. We haven't seen him with the Toronto Maple Leafs in regular season form since last season. So far in the AHL this season, he hasn't looked too shabby either. He's looked pretty good. In 5 games, he has 4 points, 2 goals, 2 assists. And one thing we do know about Fraser Minten, when Sheldon Keefe was coaching last year, he was very high on this guy. He liked his defensive play. He liked the way that he was going and the trajectory that he was on. So now seeing him recalled to a new coach here in Craig Berube, I think he does fit Berube's style a bit more than Sheldon Keefe's. So I think that will play in a big factor into Fraser Minten's success here. So it is great to see him come up. Before the season, we were talking maybe he's going to make this roster again, but it quite frankly didn't happen. Obviously, they're so deep through that center position, and now David Kampf going out with injury. It is tough to see. You don't want to see any player get injured here in the NHL, but it does give opportunity to a guy like Fraser Minten, who probably wouldn't have got a chance to get called up without this injury. So it is going to be nice to see one of the Leafs' top prospects get into some NHL action, and hopefully, we can see him contribute this time in the NHL. Last time he had 4 games, he didn't have any points. He did look good in those games, in my opinion, but now he gets up. We don't know for how long. I would assume that it is going to be for a couple of games now that Kampf is on IR. If he plays well, I'm sure they're going to stick with him going forward on that 4th line until Kampf does come back. So it is great to see Minten get some opportunity here in the Leafs' time of need. So it's going to be interesting to see how he does, and I'm excited to see Fraser Minten back up for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I want to hear your guys' thoughts down below. Do you think Minten got what it takes to stay up here? Let us know down below in the comments section. But we got to talk about the big news today. The big news is obviously Auston Matthews. This has been the most hush-hush thing, I would have to say, in Leafs history. We've seen him go, the last 7 days, I believe it was, or 7 games without, being day-to-day. Nobody, not really sure what he's dealing with. They're saying upper body. It's really quiet on what that injury is. We still don't know what it is. We know it's upper body, but we don't know what he's dealing with. And it's now coming out today that he has traveled to Munich, Germany, to consult a doctor. According to Chris Johnson, Matthews is currently in Munich receiving treatment from a doctor he's worked with in the past and is being accompanied by a team physician. I believe it is the team's doctor, one of the team's doctors that is with him. He said that the Leafs said there's been no setback or change in his status. So I think this is very weird because, they're saying it's not serious, it's not going to require surgery and all this stuff, but he does travel to Germany to get this treated, to figure out what's going on, to figure out his best course of action, which I think is great because it's always great to have a second opinion, especially on your health and how your body's feeling. But, you think it would be a little bit more serious than maybe day to day for him to have to fly all the way to Germany to figure this out, But we do get some more reports here from Sportsnet. They say it was also stressed that surgery for Matthews' undisclosed injury is not being considered at all, so that's good. No surgery means he won't be out a long length of time, which is good news for Leafs fans. They also say the European trip was an opportunity to get some overall body work done for Auston Matthews, trying to get him back in shape for when he ultimately does make his return as the Leafs captain this season. They also say here the Maple Leafs doctors care as players get second opinions all the time, kind of like what I just mentioned here. And they say here one of the team's doctors did also travel with him. They also say here at this point the Maple Leafs position remains, as head coach Berube said, that with a stretch of 3 games and 13 days, it's also best for Matthews to get this rest and come back fully healthy. You don't want to, throw him in here. You only got 3 games and 13 days. If you drop some, it is what it is. It's only 3 games. But when you want your star player here in Matthews to come back fully healthy, ready to score some goals. So it is a very, very interesting situation that is unfolding here in Toronto, because nobody expected this. Nobody, we hear Auston Matthews going out, we don't want to see him injured. Hopefully he rests up, gets better. We're still on that same page, but here we are, 7 games later, and we don't know what the injury is. He's in Europe figuring this out, and he's taking the next 3 games off, reportedly. So it is crazy that this is happening, because I know the Leafs are a club who like to keep things silent. They don't really like getting things out there. Auston Matthews is also on this side of that coin when he's dealing with stuff like that time when he had COVID. He didn't want anybody to know, and a reporter leaked it. So he's very hush when it comes to health, which I can respect. You're at the end of the day, he is a human being. You don't want everything to do with your health being out there in the media for everybody to judge. So hopefully this isn't serious. They're saying it's not going to require surgery, which is great, but there are still injuries that you deal with in the upper body that will have you out week to week, possibly even month to month, depending on how serious this injury is. And without knowing what area of the body that this, what area or what type of muscle injury or whatever it is that he has, we can't really judge a timeline. It's kind of going to be like, okay, Matthews is ready to go, or he's doubtful, he's questionable, and then he's ready to go. It's very weird that this is the way that we're seeing this Auston Matthews injury handled, but in the meantime, the Leafs have still looked good without their captain, without their star player, Auston Matthews. So once he draws back into this lineup, this team's going to start clicking again. They're going to get on a roll, and they're going to just continue that momentum with them the rest of the season. And I'm kind of on the side of Berube here that, you want to give this guy his rest, because you don't want to bring Matthews in too early to where he aggravates that injury, makes it worse to where it would have to require surgery. So especially with a guy like Auston Matthews, I'm sure with all players this is the way, but especially with a top goal scorer in the league like Matthews, you don't want to risk, putting him back in too early to then require surgery on whatever part, on his shoulder, whatever it is, to then him being out month to month, potentially, missing playoffs. You don't want that to happen. So hopefully this doctor in Munich is, like the top guy, and he can figure this out. Matthews gets a few tips, gets treatment from this doctor, and we can figure it out. The Leafs doctors are with him as well, or one of them is, so they will figure out how to continue this treatment over in North America. So definitely a very interesting update today. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on it down below in the comment section, because this was not what I was expecting when I checked my phone today and seen Auston Matthews was in Munich. It kind of shocked me. I've seen a lot of initial reaction on Twitter from Leafs fans being like, oh my god, this is it. This is way, way more serious than what it's being said. And, I don't really think that is the case, because I think if it was, it would already be announced. But I think Leafs fans, we just all need to sit back, take a chill pill, and let Matthews work through this injury, because you want to see him come back at 100% and want to see him come back scoring goals for your team. But I want to hear your guys' honest opinions on this down below in the comment section. There's going to be a fun comment section to read today. If you guys enjoyed this one, make sure down below, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're on the road for 7,000 subscribers. We just hit 6,000. Appreciate all the support you guys have been giving us on the channel over the past year and a half now, which is absolutely wild. Appreciate that. If you want to check out a video we did the other day, it'll be popping up on your screen right now. But as always, I've been your host, KC. Keep your stick on the ice.